Okay, so if you've ever, wrestled with weight loss, and let's be honest, who hasn't thought about it? It can be a real struggle, a frustrating one.
Definitely.
And lately, you can't escape the talk about medications like semaglutide. It seems like it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it's dominating the conversation.
But for a lot of people, that's kind of where the conversation just stops, the drug itself. But what if that's just scratching the surface?
Mm-hmm.
What if there's a much deeper way to look at this, a philosophy that sees weight loss not just as taking a medication, but as this whole transformative human experience?
That's exactly where Dan Hollis comes in.
Right. So today we're doing a deep dive into his world, into his thinking. We're looking at his semaglutide manifesto, which kind of lays out his core ideas.
And those two other pieces, the ones reflecting on what he taught about failing gracefully and just about weight loss in general, they add a really personal layer.
Yeah. Failing gracefully, what Dan Hollis taught me, and weight loss, what Dan Hollis taught me. So our mission here is basically to pull out the key insights, the surprising truths.
Get past the common stuff.
Exactly. Give you a shortcut to understanding what it really takes to make lasting change, whether you're using medication or not. Okay, let's unpack this.
Did it?
So Dan Hollis kicks things off by challenging how most people see semaglutide. He says something really powerful. This is not a drug journey, it's a human one.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? How should we think about these drugs differently based on that?
Well, it's fascinating because he's not downplaying the drug. He sees it as a really profound tool. He talks about how it literally alters how your brain thinks about hunger, satisfaction, and reward,
Okay.
which, as he points out, can feel incredibly liberating, right?
Right.
Suddenly, that constant background noise about food might quiet down.
Or relief for many, I imagine.
Huge relief. But then he also says it can be terrifying because maybe food was your main way of coping with, well, everything.
Ah, I see. So taking that away leaves a gap.
Exactly. And that's why his whole approach isn't just, here's your shot. It has to include support, education, and real human guidance. It's about what you do with the change the medicine gives you, that pause it creates.
So it's less about just flipping an off switch for hunger and more about fundamentally changing the brain's relationship with food. That feels, significant.
It is. And that idea directly leads into one of his biggest points, the one that makes people stop and think.
Which is?
Willpower was never the problem.
Wow. Okay, that's huge. Willpower was never the problem because we've all heard it or told ourselves, right? Just need more discipline, just try harder.
Constantly. It's the default narrative.
So if Hollis says willpower isn't the answer, especially for the long haul, what's his explanation? Why does it fail us?
He basically argues that you're fighting an invisible battle. He says you're working against a biology that wasn't explained to you and a culture that profits from your confusion.
Oof, that's quite a statement.
It is. He talks about how biology, emotion, and habit loops are stacked against you. So just gritting your teeth and relying on willpower. It's like trying to hold back a tide. It just doesn't work for the long haul.
So what's the alternative then?
The solution, he says, is insight, structure, tools that meet your biology where it's at. It's about understanding the system, your system, and then using strategies that work with it.
Okay, so I'm hearing this, and it sounds like he's taking the blame off the individual. Like he's saying, hey, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not undisciplined.
That's exactly it. The problem isn't some kind of moral failing on your part. You're just working against forces you weren't equipped to handle.
That must be incredibly freeing for people to hear.
Absolutely. It shifts everything. It's about resetting your body, sure, but also resetting your expectations of yourself. Moving from blame to, strategic thinking.
Okay, so biology's tough. Willpower isn't the magic bullet. Where does that leave us? Hollis brings up something else, doesn't he? The unseen stuff.
Yeah, the emotional side.
Right. The manifesto says this is emotional weight as much as it is physical weight. And the sources mention people eating not just from hunger, but because they feel anxiety, lonely, bored, overstimulated, or undersupported. How does a drug like semaglutide even touch that stuff?
Well, that's the key distinction. Semaglutide can help with the hunger. It can dial down that physical drive, that noise.
Okay.
But, and this is crucial, the sources stress that without support for the rest of it, most people relapse. Because the drug doesn't magically fix why you reached for food when you felt anxious or lonely.
Right, those triggers are still there.
Exactly. So Hollis's system is designed to walk you through the emotional recalibration. It helps you figure out what to do when food isn't your automatic go-to anymore. You need new tools for those feelings.
That really clicks with another powerful idea from the sources. The real work begins when the cravings stop. That's when the truth shows up. What's the truth he's talking about there?
It's about what happens when the usual distractions quiet down. It's about listening to the silence.
Mm-hmm.
When food is no longer acting as comfort, food is noise, food is your constant co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
For so many people, food is always there. Semaglutide creates this pause, a breather,
Mm.
a reset.
Mm.
And in that quiet, you suddenly have the space, maybe for the first time, to really design a new system.
To rebuild.
Yeah, to rebuild connections to your hunger cues, to your purpose, to yourself. It's confronting what was underneath all that noise.
Okay, so building on that pause idea, Hollis really emphasizes what happens next. He says the real work begins after the medication.
Yes, this is a core part of his philosophy.
Why is planning for life beyond the injection so critical? What are the risks if you don't?
Because, as he plainly states, semaglutide is not forever. It's a tool for a season, not usually a lifelong thing for most people.
Right.
And the sources warn, if you don't have a plan B, a strategy for when the medication's effects lessen or stop, then guess what? The old patterns come back, appetite creeps in, emotional triggers reactivate.
So you could end up right back where you started.
Potentially, yes. That's why he insists on talking about the after right from the start.
Uh,
The whole process is about building habits that can live beyond the injections. It's about sustainability.
And speaking of sustainability, he has that warning. Fast weight loss without metabolic pacing is a trap. We all want fast results, don't we? So what's the danger there?
It's so tempting. But Hollis points out that losing weight too quickly can actually backfire. You can mess with your metabolism, slow it down. You can lose more muscle mass, which you don't want.
And that hurts long term.
Yeah, it leads to poorer long-term outcomes. So his approach is all about pacing. Timing things, your food, your habits, your progress, in a way your body can actually handle and sustain. No crash dieting.
Okay, that makes sense. Building something lasting, not just getting a quick fix.
Exactly. Building a body that's resilient.
Now, this next part, I think this might be one of the most profound and maybe hardest ideas for people. Hollis completely reframes failure.
Ah, yes, this is huge.
He says, failure isn't the end, it's a message, a moment of feedback. How does he get us to look at slip-ups differently? Because usually they come with so much shame.
He really challenges that shame directly. He sees a relapse or just a stumble, not as some kind of betrayal of progress, not as proof that you failed.
But what is it then?
He describes it as the brain asking for the old familiar rhythm. It's biology and habit pulling you back. He teaches that breakdowns in progress are often just a sign that the support system needs reinforcing, not that the person is weak.
So it's not a character flaw, it's a system issue.
Precisely. It shifts the focus from what's wrong with me to, okay, what support do I need right now? What adjustment does the plan need? It turns failure into data.
So the shame isn't really in the failing, it's in how we react to it, the story we tell ourselves.
That's exactly it. He says the shame isn't in failing. The shame is in pretending you were supposed to be perfect. Nobody is perfect in this process. So he talks about building grace. And you do that by learning to respond to a stumble, by reaching for a better tool instead of reaching for blame.
And asking that key question.
Yeah. What story am I telling myself about this failure? And is that story helping me become who I want to be? It's about compassionate problem solving, not self-flagellation.
Okay, putting all these pieces together, Hollis calls his whole protocol a conversation, not a prescription. That sounds very relational.
It is. It ties back to the human journey idea. It's not just a clinical transaction.
What does it mean practically for the support someone gets?
It means fostering a relationship to food, to your body, and to the people guiding you. He's not just giving you rules. He's offering a map, a guide, and a community that gets it. People who understand the nuances.
It's not just about stopping bad habits, then.
No, it's crucially about replacement. You can't just leave a void. You need to build new, positive things in that space. Because, as the sources say, biology might give you a head start, but only identity keeps you moving.
Identity. Okay.
Yeah, it's about building a new sense of self around health and well-being, one that feels authentic.
Which connects to that final big concept, alignment, not shame. How do you hold on to progress through alignment? And what's this idea of starting right?
Alignment, in this context, is about finally having the space to become yourself. It's not about relentlessly chasing a number on a scale, which often breeds shame.
Right.
It's about building a life where food isn't your only coping tool, where your choices align with the person you truly want to be. And starting right means building this foundation from the beginning.
So this healing, It's not dramatic, maybe.
He suggests it's often quiet, it's intentional, it's the slow layering of new choices, new thoughts, and new systems. And crucially, it's all built during that unique sacred window that semaglutide creates. It's using that pause strategically for deep fundamental change, built on understanding and grace, not guilt.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive really shows how Dan Hollis just flips the script on weight loss, doesn't he?
Totally.
Semaglutide isn't the magic bullet solution. It's a critical pause, a chance for this deeper human journey, recalibrating emotions, planning for the future, and radically changing how we see failure, turning it into feedback.
Yeah, it's such a refreshing and honestly more hopeful perspective. It's not about quick fixes, it's not just meds, it's not just willpower. It's about this sustained, mindful transformation, finding real alignment.
Right, and like the sources say, semaglutide isn't cheating, it's adaptation.
The real cheat is pretending willpower was enough.
Hmm.
That line really sticks with you.
It does. So the final thought for you listening, if semaglutide, or any approach really, gives you that quiet space, that reset, that moment to rebuild, what new systems, what new ways of being will you design in that sacred window to become truly aligned with yourself? So what does this all mean for you?